Welcome to Linux for the Rest of Us, episode number 66. The show about Linux, and as much as we could possibly cover about Linux in about an hour, we're talking about Linux news, Linux distributions, Linux apps, and just all kinds of Linux goodness. Hope you enjoy the show. Let me introduce the man who brings the goods week after week after week. We're happy to have the door-to-door geek, Steve McLaughlin, on the show again. What's up, Door?
Hey, man.
Now, I say we're happy to have you on the show again. I mean, that's ridiculous. You're on every week. You're the man. You are the show.
Yeah, but I wasn't going to correct you.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that.
No problem.
What's going on?
This week is going to be just a sick week for me at work. This is the week of American Thanksgiving, which means I only have 3 days of actual work time.
Okay.
But I'm expected to do 5 days worth of work.
Aha. I got a solution for that. You just say no.
Well, I first thought about the solution of just calling out. So then they can't expect me
That's a good
to
solution.
do anything. It didn't really work out. So I'm thinking about trying to take off Wednesday, but of course I'm not going to submit my paperwork till Tuesday around 4:00. You know, just to give them as little buffer room as possible to think on their feet, kind of thing.
Nice. Well, that's nice. I'm sure they appreciate that.
They'll get over it. I firmly am not arrogant. I firmly believe I do more than my share of work that allows me a little bit of leniency, let's say.
And I think that that's fair. I mean, I think there's too many companies that don't recognize a hard worker and just kind of treat them the same as everybody else. And you're not going to get the same amount of production out of a good guy like that. So.
Yeah, the instructor, I had to have sensitivity training. Well, we all did. Didn't like me basically soapboxing that no, some employees should be treated different. Some employees go over, above, and beyond. So maybe it is okay if they take an hour lunch once in a while.
Sure.
Really? And I said, the only people I've ever had in my life argue that fact are the people that never go over, above, and beyond. And I will sit down now.
Nice, Tor.
He got a little mad.
I can imagine. It was a slap in his face, basically.
Well, you know, sometimes that's what's needed.
That's awesome, man. Why don't you got to start recording this stuff.
Oh, okay.
Want to see
but
these.
if it gets out, then there's actual proof it happened. And, you know, I have plausible deniability because everybody in the training, of course, was on my side.
Of course. How could you argue that point? Unless they were a bunch of coconuts. All right, dude. What do you want to bring to this week on the show?
Okay. Basic. It's something, honestly, a lot of people do not believe, especially a lot of people that think they know what they're talking about. They do not believe. There's many people in my job that when I say this line, I'm going to say, call me to my face a liar and say I have no idea what I'm talking about. These are Windows admins, server admins, by the way. In Linux, in a modern Linux distribution, OpenSUSE, Ubuntu, PangUI, Linux Mint, Fedora, you know, a whole bunch of these distributions, you can install it, run it, use it, tweak it, change it, modify it, use it some more, and do everything you need to do and never once have to open a command line window. There are basically GUI tools available to do virtually everything you need to do. And then there's a cop-out thing I can say, which is if there is a couple lines of code you have to run, you can simply, in a graphical interface, create a text file, paste it in there, and execute it as a script file. So you never have to go to the command line. Like I said previously, if I'm speaking to the largest mass of people I can, I typically bring it down to the command line because if you're on Fedora or you're on Linux Mint, the same commands will work. Where if on Ubuntu and Kubuntu and Shabuntu and Ubuntu, all the GUIs might be slightly different.
See.
Yeah. So double-edged sword there, but it is true. I have ran multiple computers for months, 5, 6+ months. Never once had to go to the command line once. The only time I now go to the command line on a regular basis is when I do a ping test on Google to make sure my internet's working. Because
even people in Windows still use the command line for that.
Right. Because I hate opening a browser, having 30 tabs opening up, and them all saying, could not establish connection. It's like, oh, jeez.
Do you really open 30 tabs?
Most of the time I do, but I'll say, since I've gotten FiOS, I haven't had to open the command line for that reason.
Sweet. That's good to know. Do not fear the command line. Or at least it shouldn't be a reason not to use Linux. But I think people are really getting that, especially from the mail we get from people who are listening to this show and watch the show. I don't even think the command line it causes them fear. They're into it. They probably want to get into a couple command line things. This is what I get. I mean, people are they're really using Linux. They're really trying to get into it, and I think that I don't know. It's not a barrier anymore. Not for geeks anyway.
Right. I mean, the line, I was trying to think of a line because I always think of analogies. William Tidwell honestly pulls out some analogies I like. He's the one who got me actively trying to think of saying these things on a normal basis. Okay. The command line in Linux is like the difference between cooking pre-made meals and cooking from scratch. Either way, you end up with food. No matter what, you have an edible product. One can taste better than the other. It doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? One's just comes with the chicken already cut up, and the other one you have to defrost and cut the chicken all up. There really is little difference. I'll say some people like the control of choosing everything about their food.
Right.
Some people were perfectly fine with getting a Hungry Man Swanson dinner and hitting 3 minutes on the microwave. And that's a personal preference kind of thing. In a lot of things I figure out in my life, there is no best ever. It's always opinion, because there's different measures of good. You cannot say if you don't use the command line, you don't use Linux. And you cannot say if you do use the command line, you don't use Linux.
Right.
I mean, if you want to learn more and you want to basically learn at a faster rate and you want to become more versatile, then go ahead and learn the command line. Right. If you're fine running Linux Mint from now for the foreseeable future and you don't feel the need to dive in any deeper, don't. You'll be perfectly as happy as I am.
Yeah. It's really cool that you have the option. And I think that people who do use Mint will start to use command line for certain things if they want more power. It's really cool that you can do it both ways.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's one of the things. Don't believe me, try it for yourself. And if you need help, don't hesitate. Door-to-door geek at podnutz.com or mail at podnutz.com.
Awesome.
Okay, first link.
Before we get into that.
Yes, sir.
Got to correct one thing on the sound. It sounds like you're chewing on popcorn. I think that the mic is probably hitting your beard.
Yeah, it does look right there. Okay. Hold on.
I think you're good there. Try a little mouth movement.
Testing, testing, testing.
Again?
Testing, testing, testing.
Cool. Ready? Whenever you're ready, go.
Yep. Okay. The first article we're going to talk about, it's from ZDNet Asia.
Okay.
I don't know why it's on ZDNet Asia. I don't. But that's where I found it at. Okay. It is an article entitled 10 Things You Must Teach New Linux users. I don't completely like this article, but we can all still learn something off of it, I'll say. Okay, number one, it's just a computer operating system. All computer operating systems try to solve the same goals, and they all kind of do it in similar fashions. It's just, instead of clicking on this corner, you click on that corner kind of thing to get around the interface. It's just an operating system, number one. Number two, it's not Windows. Don't go to download.com. Don't search for Zone Alarm and download it. That kind of mentality, it doesn't work. Number three, there is no C drive. That's the most important thing to get past a new user, is how to navigate the file system and find files you downloaded, files you saved. And everybody in Windows has a hard set mentality of C drive.
Totally.
Even though Windows Home Server 2010 or whatever was supposed to get rid of the C drive, and then the next Windows operating system, Windows 8, was supposed to follow that on, they gave up on it. They backed out. There's only so much they can change before they break too much stuff.
Or they piss everyone off.
Well, they're piss everyone off anyway. Okay, so there's no C drive. Everything into the slash. Okay. Advantages and disadvantages to that, I'll say I like the advantages. Number three, installing software is a different process. We went over this lots of times, Steve. You technically don't go to download.com, download a executable binary file, double click it, and follow through steps. With iPhone and Android being as popular as it is, I think more people come to a level of comprehension quicker. This is like an app store. I open up Software Center or Package Manager, search, double click, and in a stall. So I think as time goes on, people are going to be much more comfortable with that process.
Yeah, me too.
Number five, command line is not necessary. Yes. Number six, there is no need to worry about infection. This is where I have the issue with it. Anything is infectable, number one.
Right.
They give the impression it's not infectable. Anything is infectable. Granted, you think you have better odds of starting for the Green Bay Packers as a quarterback tomorrow. That doesn't negate the fact that anything could happen. Also, I'll say, they also almost give a false sense of security. Phishing scams and those kind of things will still work great if you're on a Linux computer.
Right.
If you open up an email and click a link and go to paypals.com and type in your information, you're still hacked.
Yes.
So to me, I don't like number six.
Yeah, because it's an absolute. There is no absolutes.
Thank you. Never say never, never say forever. And yes, I know I just said never 3 times. Number 7, it's free. It's free and free. It's freer than free. Okay. You can take it, you can tweak it, you can redistribute it, you can call it your own. That's the most free I think you can possibly get. Number 8, actually stop. Number 7 again. Okay. There are people in the Podnutz forums, and every 6 months this happens. Someone posts a link to Hiron's
Boot CD?
The Hiron's Boot CD, and they keep saying, look, it's legal now. They say it's legal. And then you go there, and the first thing you see on the website is mini XP environment. Well, then it's not legal.
Right.
You cannot redistribute any part of the core kernel of Windows, period. In fact, it's probably illegal to copy WinWord or Notepad.exe off of a Windows computer and put it on a different computer. Okay, even that's probably illegal.
Right.
So to copy the kernel is very illegal. Just because someone says something, let's not just flat out believe them. Just because a politician says, I'm looking out for you, let's not just believe them. Let's go by their track record and let's look at the facts.